Have you ever stopped for a moment, looked at the calendar, and wondered how we are already halfway through the year? It feels like just yesterday you were celebrating New Year's Eve, yet somehow, months have vanished into thin air. You think back to when you were a child. Remember how long a summer vacation used to feel? 2 months out of school felt like an absolute eternity, an endless ocean of afternoons, bicycle rides, video games, and sunshine. But today, 2 months can pass by in what feels like a blink of an eye. You might even hear older relatives say that the years fly by faster and faster the older you get. As a kid, you probably dismissed it. But now you are living it. This phenomenon is almost universally experienced across cultures, backgrounds, and lifestyles. Time, our most precious and finite resource, seems to slip through our fingers with increasing speed as we age. But is there a physical change in the fabric of the universe? Of course not. The second is still a second. A minute is still a minute. The rotation of the Earth remains steady. The answer doesn't lie in the physics of space and time, but rather in the fascinating, complex, and sometimes fragile biology and psychology of the human brain. To understand this, we first need to explore what psychologists call the proportional theory. This is perhaps the most famous and mathematically satisfying explanation for why time speeds up as we grow older, originally proposed by the French philosopher Paul Janet in 1897. Imagine you are exactly 1 year old. That single year of your life represents 100% of your existence. It is everything you have ever known. By the time you turn 2, that second year represents 50% of your entire life. It's a massive chunk of time relative to what you have already experienced. When you reach the age of 10, a single year is just 10% of your life. And by the time you celebrate your 50th birthday, 1 year represents a mere 2% of your existence. Mathematically, a year becomes a smaller and smaller fraction of your total life experience as you age. Your brain measures the present against the backdrop of the past. Because you have accumulated so much past, any new unit of time feels comparatively insignificant. To a 5-year-old, waiting 1 year for a birthday feels like waiting for a fifth of their entire existence. It requires monumental patience. To a 50-year-old, a year is just a drop in the bucket. While this mathematical model is elegant and makes logical sense, it doesn't quite paint the whole picture. Our perception of time isn't just a cold calculation. It is deeply intertwined with our biology, our emotions, and how we process memories. This brings us to the biological explanation, which revolves around our internal clocks and metabolism. When we are young, our biological pacemakers tick at a different rate. Children have faster heart rates, faster breathing, and a higher metabolic rate compared to adults. Some researchers suggest that this elevated internal tempo makes the external world appear to move more slowly. It is almost as if children are operating at a higher frame rate. Because their internal clock is ticking so fast, a standard minute of real-world time feels like it contains more subjective moments, making it feel longer. As we age, our metabolism slows down. Our heart rate drops. Our breathing becomes slower. With a slower internal clock, the external world seems to rush past us. We process fewer biological frames per second, so the physical time outside of us feels like it is accelerating. But biology alone cannot account for the sheer dramatic shift in time perception. The secret ingredient, the real maestro conducting our sense of time, is memory. Specifically, how our brain encodes new experiences. This concept is often referred to as the holiday paradox. Imagine you go on a vacation to a completely new country for a week. The first few days are packed with new sights, strange foods, unfamiliar streets, and foreign languages. During the trip, time seems to fly by because you are having fun. But when you return home and look back on that week, it feels like you were away for a month. Your brain created dozens of rich, dense, detailed memories because everything was novel and required your active attention. This dense accumulation of memory makes the period feel stretched out in retrospect. Time perception works in two different ways: time in passing and time in retrospect. When we are children, our entire lives are essentially one long vacation in a foreign country. Everything is new. The world is a giant, unsolved puzzle. Learning to tie your shoes, tasting chocolate for the first time, going to a new school, meeting a new friend, experiencing your first heartbreak, your first job, your first car. The child's brain is working in overdrive, constantly recording high-definition memories because it doesn't know what information might be vital for survival later on. Because childhood is densely packed with these novel experiences, our retrospective judgment of that time tells us it lasted forever. Our memory banks are absolutely overflowing with distinct, unique events. Now, contrast this with adulthood. As we grow older, our lives inevitably become more routine. We find a job, we settle into a home, we associate with the same group of friends, and we repeat the same daily behaviors. You wake up at the same time, drink the same brand of coffee, take the exact same route to work, sit at the same desk, and have similar conversations. The human brain is an incredibly efficient organ. It consumes about 20% of your body's energy, so it is always looking for ways to conserve power. When the brain encounters a familiar situation, it essentially switches to autopilot. It doesn't need to record the details of your morning commute for the 1000th time because it already knows the script. Therefore, it stops creating dense, vivid memories of these routine events. When your brain filters out the mundane and repetitive, entire weeks or months can pass by without a single significant memory being anchored into your consciousness. When you look back at the past year, your brain searches for milestones. If it only finds a handful of distinct memories, it concludes that not much time could have possibly passed. The year feels short because the cognitive footprint of that year is incredibly small. The less novelty we experience, the fewer memories we create, and the faster time seems to fly. Adulthood often lacks the constant, forced novelty of childhood, leading to the illusion of a rapidly accelerating timeline. Furthermore, we must look at the role of dopamine, a crucial neurotransmitter in the brain that is often associated with pleasure and reward, but also plays a fundamental role in our perception of time. Dopamine helps us measure intervals of time. In our youth, our brains are flushed with dopamine. We are constantly seeking out thrills, learning new skills, and being rewarded with bursts of this chemical. This high dopamine activity is linked to a feeling of time expanding. As we age past our 20s, our baseline levels of dopamine naturally begin to decline. Studies on diseases that severely deplete dopamine, such as Parkinson's disease, have shown that patients often suffer from a distorted sense of time, consistently underestimating how much time has passed. The natural, age-related drop in dopamine could be a very real biological reason why the days and weeks seem to slip away faster as we grow older. We simply do not have the same neurochemical cocktail that once made our afternoons stretch into infinity. And then there is the aspect of how we focus our attention. Children are remarkably present. They live in the now. A child playing with a toy is not thinking about the mortgage, or the emails they have to send tomorrow, or the embarrassing thing they said 5 years ago. They are completely absorbed in the immediate physical world around them. Mindfulness, the act of being present, forces the brain to process more sensory information, which naturally slows down the perception of time. Adults, on the other hand, are chronic mental time travelers. We are constantly planning for the future or ruminating on the past. We physically sit in a chair, but our minds are hours, days, or years away. When you are not paying attention to the present moment, time slips by unnoticed. Our lack of presence robs us of the subjective experience of time. We trade our current seconds for anxieties about future ones, and in doing so, we accelerate our own perception of the clock. Technology also plays an unprecedented role in this modern acceleration of time. We live in an era of constant distraction. Social media, endless scrolling, instant messages, and streaming platforms are all designed to hack our attention. Have you ever opened an app just to check a quick message, only to realize an hour has passed? This is called time displacement. Our screens provide a continuous stream of low-effort, low-novelty stimulation that occupies our attention without forming any meaningful, lasting memories. We enter a state of flow that is ultimately empty. The more time we spend disconnected from our immediate physical surroundings and immersed in digital repetition, the less memory anchors we create, and the faster our lives seem to zip by. So, what can we do about it? Are we doomed to watch our lives speed up until the years pass like days? Not necessarily. While we cannot change the mathematical proportion of our lives, nor can we completely halt the biological aging process, we can absolutely change how we interact with the world to slow down our perception of time. The key lies in deliberately engineering novelty and practicing presence. If routine is the enemy of time, then novelty is its savior. You must actively break the scripts your brain has become so comfortable with. It doesn't require quitting your job and traveling the globe. It can be as simple as taking a different route home from work. Try cooking a recipe you have never tasted before. Read a book from a genre you usually ignore. Learn a new language or pick up a musical instrument. Challenge your brain to learn new physical skills, like juggling or dancing. Expose yourself to environments that require your brain to pay attention and lay down new memory tracks. By injecting small doses of novelty into your daily life, you provide your brain with the anchor points it needs to stretch out your perception of time. Additionally, practicing mindfulness can dramatically alter how you experience the passage of your days. Make a conscious effort to pull your attention back to the present moment. When you are eating, just eat. Pay attention to the texture and flavor of your food. When you are walking, notice the feeling of the ground beneath your feet and the temperature of the air. When you are talking to a loved one, put your phone away and truly listen to their words. By engaging fully with your senses, you increase the frame rate of your consciousness, slowing down the rush of time. In the end, time is the ultimate equalizer. It moves at the same steady pace for the rich and the poor, the young and the old. But our experience of it is entirely subjective, painted by our biology, our habits, and our attention. Growing older doesn't have to mean watching time slip away in a blur. By understanding the mechanics of how our brain perceives time, we can take back the reins. We can choose to step off the autopilot of routine, embrace the uncomfortable beauty of novelty, and ground ourselves in the present moment. By doing so, we can stretch out the canvas of our lives, ensuring that every year, every month, and every day is felt, remembered, and lived to its absolute fullest.